Coaches Show, Episode 1. We're sitting down with brand new head coach Corey Fipps in his first season ahead of his first home game this weekend against Bluefield. Coach, how are we feeling today?
Feeling really good. It's been a long time, it feels like, since we played some football, even though we had a spring season, and excited to get things going.
So we'll kind of open it up here, let you intro. You know, coming in a couple months ago, bringing in a completely new staff. You've got a good group of returners. You got a bunch of new guys. There's a bunch of stuff to dive into. I just want to kind of get your thoughts on how the transition's been, what you've been working on in the offseason. What's the outlook headed into this game?
Yeah, it was a little crazy. You know, we called the offseason really just what was fall camp. You know, we got here and hired and kind of got our bearings, new surroundings, got our coaches here and their families, and got the players back. And you know, it was kind of a benefit to have a week one delay because of COVID, and got a couple extra weeks to install our systems and get to know our players. And it's kind of been like speed dating a little bit to get to know these guys, but they've been awesome, and we couldn't be more thrilled and proud to coach a good group of University of Pikeville Bears and the new additions that have showed up here. So, you know, the returning players had to show me where the cafeteria was, where a few different things were, where the meeting halls were, but it's been good to grow together with those guys.
All right, Coach, you mentioned having a good group of guys. Now you guys are settled in, and as a head coach, I'm sure the next step is figuring out what your philosophy is, your team culture. What are some of the steps you've taken to initiate that? How do you feel like that's going?
Yeah, you know, I think it really started with some team bonding events during fall camp, getting to know these guys, some icebreakers. We broke our guys into small groups, much like you might see on a Wednesday night church setup, with small group questions and pod leaders and coaches integrated in those things to get to know guys and where they're from and who they are, and some of the hopes and desires they have for this football program and for their future in life. And so those things have really brought us together and bonded us a little bit. You know, still in the midst of a pandemic, it's hard to get out and do some of those team bonding things that you generally like to do during fall camp. But I think our guys roughed it and did the best they could to get to know each other. And I think, you know, we've had some opportunities to get to know each other on the field too. You know, figure out who can tackle, who can throw, who can catch, and who can block and do those things. And you know, there's obviously a talent group of guys here who have been successful in the past, and will continue to grow our culture and our program. If you had to say, you know, what is the culture of the University of Pikeville football program under this coaching staff and this group of players, and I think it's family. I think it's brotherhood. You know, I think that we try to work on the family model, not the business model. We try to do a good job of having our coaches' families and children integrated into the program, and I think these guys are excited about that new brand and that new opportunity to have some relationships beyond the football field.
So like we talked about before, brand new coaching staff, 8 new coaches, including yourself. Tell us a little bit about those guys you brought in and how they're helping you do what you need to do here.
Yeah, absolutely. When we looked at this opportunity with athletic director Kelly Wells and the president and the provost, and what we were going to do to bring you know, really just a new culture here, you know, I had to recruit some assistant coaches, and luckily we brought a good bulk of our coaching staff from Kentucky Christian University. We brought Chris Elliott, who's our defensive coordinator, coaches our defensive backs. Coach Elliott's got a ton of experience in the Mid-South Football Conference. He's head coach at Bethel University. He had the opportunity to be the defense coordinator at Ave Maria in Florida in the Sun Division, and Cumberland in Tennessee, and last year at Kentucky Christian. He was really the architect of a big turnaround defensively for us. So Coach Elliott and his wife Lindsay and their 3 beautiful daughters are here, and we also brought with us our offensive line coach DeVario Dorsey, who spent 3 years with us at Kentucky Christian University and has got a big time background across the Southeast, and was a great player himself, and really a great teacher on the offensive line. And you know, we've got Mike Harris, our recruiting coordinator and defensive line coach. Coach Harris spent some time with us at Kentucky Christian and some different NAIA Division III and junior college stops across the country, and does a great job with our defensive line. When you look at our linebackers, we brought with us Darius Jiggets from KCU, and Coach Jiggets is doing a great job. He's kind of the hype man, the energy guy on defense, And, we had the opportunity to also bring our receiver coach, Cesar Aguila, who coached at Jackson State FCS program before his time with us at Kentucky Christian. He comes kind of from that Hal Mumme, University of Kentucky air raid family tree, and he does a great job, and his daughter and his wife are a big part of our family culture as well. We had the opportunity to bring along with us a graduate assistant in Quamari Tinsley, who played for us at Kentucky Christian University and from Owensboro, Kentucky, was an all-conference performer in the Bluegrass division. And he brings a lot of energy and experience to our defensive side of the ball. We brought Peyton Franklin, our strength conditioning coach, and works on the offensive side with us and does a great job. And we want to make a priority in the weight room to really take this program to a level maybe it hadn't been before. I had the opportunity to retain 2 graduate assistants, Colton Boyle, who's coaching our tight ends, and Jamar Kirksey, who's coaching our running backs. And I get the chance to coach the quarterbacks and call some of the offensive plays. So that's really our coaching staff. We've got a lot of experience together. We know each other's quirks and kind of our pet peeves. So it's good when you come in as staff. You really don't have to work those things out. You know each other, the systems, and we hit the floor running.
Yeah, so without revealing too much, you talked about play style. What are we looking at offensively? What's the style of Coach Fipps, this new staff, and this new group?
Yeah, really, offensively, we're kind of your up-tempo basketball on grass spread offense. We do use tight ends and we do run the football, but we really like to use the width and the length of the field to our advantage and find the grass and play fast. And I think our quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers are all excited about our style of play, and we try to keep things really up-tempo, keep the fast break moving. Defensively, we're a 3-4 structured defense, and I think Coach Elliott and his defensive staff do an outstanding job of really developing who we want to be and being multiple and trying to stop multiple styles of offense in this conference. It's funny, you may see a wing tee offense one week, a high school style offense, and multiple NFL style offense the next week to a spread 4 or 5 wide receiver offense. So I think our defense does a good job with that. Special teams, we try to be creative and special and get our best players on the field during those kicking game segments of practice to teach them that we've got to have playmakers even in the kicking game. We can't be one of those teams that rests our guys on those snaps. Those snaps are really important.
All right, Coach. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. Tell us about the offensive personnel. What are we going to see on the field Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a veteran group. When we showed up here, we knew we had some strong quarterbacks, and the last staff had coached and recruited some guys that could really spin it. We had a great quarterback battle through fall camp. That's what everybody wants to know. And Lee Kirkland and Xavier Malone both bring a lot to the table. But we foresee Lee Kirkland playing under center and in the shotgun for us and spinning the ball and really being the point guard of what we do. All
right, running backs. Last season we had a couple names have success running the football for the Bears. What are we looking at personnel-wise behind the QB?
Yeah, we've got a pretty big veteran group at the running back position. We've got Jaden Neese, who had some postseason honors and some weekly honors last year. And we've got Alex Sanders, who we think is a great scat back and can really do some things in space for us. Medeco returns, and I think he can really help us. He had some really good, strong scrimmages. Isaac Vaughn, who's a Marshall transfer, we think will really help us, and some other freshmen that are kind of rounding things out. We've moved Brandon McLeod to running back from the slot position to give us some depth there. You may see him at both positions as we move through the season, but we feel really confident in our kind of one-back system there. We've got some dynamic tight ends, a guy that's really helped the Bears last year in multiple positions, and running back and tight end and slot receiver, Alex Shelton. We think he's just an unbelievable athlete who can do a lot of things and really put some people in binds.
So QB and running backs aside, what are some of the other offensive personnel we're looking at? We've got, tight ends. You got a lot of talent at the receiver position as well. Kind of expand on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got 3 tight ends that we see playing a bunch in this first game. We've got a returner who did a lot of different special things at the running back and tight end position. And Alex Shelton, He's a big body. He's really athletic. I think he's going to put some people in bind. Eldrick Mason's a freshman that we're counting on, and Krosky returning and really getting some quality reps in fall camp. So those three tight ends really are going to help do what we want to do. Receivers, you've got guys that have been around here for a long, long time. I know we've played the Bears a few times over the years, and it feels like Artise Clark is a 20-year NFL veteran. He's been here forever and does some great things. Ben Henson at our Z receiver, Trevor Jones at our H receiver, and you're going to see some guys like that move positions, like maybe Trevon Wofford, who's going to play a little bit of receiver for us, and huge body, understands the offense from a quarterback's perspective, and Lee and him should hook up quite a bit as we go through the season.
All right, let's talk about the guys who really get it done, the guys up front.
Real skilled players, those offensive linemen. We feel pretty good about the group we've got. We've got Luke Humphrey at one of our offensive tackles who's a really smart, high IQ football player. Braden Bullhunter, who's kind of a local favorite, being a Pikeville guy, who was Marshall and is back here again. And we feel like those two guys are going to help us a bunch. At center, we've got Stollard. At some of our guard spots, we've got Nathan Perkins and Bryce Murphy, who are both guys who have some experience from last year. We feel like it's a good veteran group, but still young enough that they've got a lot of football to play, and probably one of the most difficult positions to really gel is your offensive line as you change verbiage and terminology. But those guys have put a lot of work in with Coach Dorsey, a lot of outside practice, walkthroughs, and meetings, and I'm really proud of those guys and where they're headed.
Coach, let's talk about the other side of the football, the guys on the front lines. What are we looking at?
Absolutely. We've got week one, we've got some defensive linemen we're really excited about, and Ivan Sledge and the Horn brothers and Tyler Little, who's back, who gives a big rock there in the middle, a hard spot to move is that big fella. So we feel good about those guys. We feel like we're going to have a lot of depth there. In our 3 down front, we've got about 9 guys can really help us. So those defensive linemen should really get after the quarterback this week.
All right, let's talk about the next level back, the linebackers.
Yeah, we got 2 returners, Jaquez Russ and Troy Hill, who got a lot of experience. We feel good about them. Starting 4 of our linebacker core, Jonathan Morton, who's a freshman, the big man Deuce. We feel like he's going to be a long-time contributor here. And then we bring a grad transfer with us who understands our system from Kentucky Christian, and Will Thompson. And he brings a lot of experience and understands, kind of how to bring those young guys along. So those 4 guys should really be impactful for us defensively this year. All
right, and the question everybody wants to know, is it blitz, blitz, blitz?
Well, you can't let Dewey Lusk and the Bluefield Rams know exactly, but we like to be multiple and we like to get after it. So I would say yes.
Let's talk about the back row, defensive secondary.
Yeah, I think, Chris Dublin and Seneca Fuller are starting safeties right now. There's some guys right behind them that are really pushing them, but we feel really confident that those guys can get our back end right and get our coverages and checks and make those calls. Really at the corner position, we've got 2 guys who've stood out all camp, and they're going to get the first week nod. And, Cedric Thomas and Timothy Butler, both guys who really bring some athleticism and that man-to-man matchups and allow you to do some of those blitzes that we talked about when you can play cover 0 behind it. So feel confident in those guys as well.
Last but certainly not least, special teams can win or lose you ball games. What are we looking at?
That's right. We've got a lot of guys who are going to contribute in terms of coverage teams and blocking on punt and field goal. But, the 2 guys you got to talk about are always your punter and your kicker. And, at the kicker position, Jake Headley, who's from just down the road, has done a great job. And we really feel confident that he can get us, when we get in field goal range, he can get us some accurate kicks right down the pipe for 3 points and knock through those extra points when we need them. So, we think Joseph Sandorf, who's been a punter around here for quite some time, has really found some consistency and doing some things well, and we're excited about it. We don't want to punt, but when we do, we've got to get one, and we've got to get it right.
All right, we got the real stars of the show here, fellas. Care to introduce yourselves?
My name is Chris Dublin. I'm from Rome, Georgia. If nobody know where that is, it's an hour outside of Atlanta, and if you know where Shorter University is, that's where Rome is.
I'm Lee Kirkland. I play quarterback, and I'm from Bluffton, South Carolina. You don't know where that's at. If you know where Head's at, you gotta pass Bluffton to get there. So that's where I'm from.
All right, what's your guys' thoughts heading into the first game? How do you feel like fall camp went? What's the mood coming from a player's perspective? What are you looking forward to?
I feel like fall camp went great. Everybody bringing in new energy, new coaches bringing in the perfect energy for the perfect group of guys that we have in now. Game plan, I like the game plan so far.
I'm pretty much going to bounce off of what he said. I think we came in camp, we all worked hard, we learned a lot, we came together as a team, pretty much as a brotherhood. And like you said, like Coach said, we had our pod meetings and all that, and it really helped us learn each other, new faces, all that, all the new coaches. And I think we just really formed together as a good team.
Are you guys having fun?
Yeah.
Are you ready to play another team?
Yeah.
You ready to see somebody in another jersey other than your own?
Definitely.
So this guy, Lee Kirkland, as Coach said, is who we're going to see under center on Saturday, running point for this offense. Technically still a freshman, a lot of years ahead of you with this program. Lee, what are you looking forward to? How do you feel like this system and this offense works for you and highlights your talent?
Well, we came in. It was obviously a mainly spread offense, and that's what I like to do. I like to sit back and throw the ball around. And going over camp, I learned a new offense. I think it's a great offense. It's easy to learn and it's easy to score points with. And I feel like we have great matchups on the receiver position, tight end, slots, running backs. We've got a great O-line. I think that everything's just going to form together, and it's going to be a fun game on Saturday.
All right, before we get over to Chris, Lee, let's talk about you. Like, what's your hill to die on? Who are you as a player?
I feel like myself, I'm a really laid-back player. I mean, I obviously like to go fast and be a great teammate, but I just want to help everybody. I want everybody to be up-tempo, good attitude. Because when you have great attitude, you play hard, you play fast, play as supposed to play. So I feel like I'm just really laid-back, and I like to be a great teammate.
Calm, cool, and collected.
Yes, definitely.
All right, on the left here, we got the defensive representation for the Bears, Chris Dublin, guy that was on not only special teams and defense, all-conference a season ago, has won multiple Player of the Week honors, so kind of a leader on this defense in his 5th season. Chris, how do you feel about the system, and what's your outlook going into Saturday?
The system, I feel like the system fits me perfect because I don't have to put everybody in that right place because the playbook is easy to learn. So not only am I not focusing on everybody else, I can focus on myself more than I did past season. And the defensive scheme for this week game is pretty good. They are pass first team, so that's come in favor for the IDBs that we have. So a lot of picks coming in the first game.
We hope so.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, let's learn more about you. Who are you as a player?
I'm more as a player's coach. I can coach players and put them in simpler terms than what coaches can do. On the field, I'm very intense, hard-nosed, coming downhill to safety. Yeah, I'm small, but you're gonna feel it when I hit you.
So at the time of this recording, we are just over 48 hours to game time. What's your scout on Bluefield? What's the game plan? What have you been talking to these guys?
Well, Bluefield's coming in 1-1, had a tough battle, their first ball game against Mid-South rival Thomas More, and then bounced back the next week and beat a kind of regional rival for them in Division III, Emory and Henry, and both those games were really impressive. Bluefield had some issues last year, but it's a whole new team, a whole new culture, it looks like, in that locker room this year. And Coach Dewey Lusk has been around a long time, does a great job there at Bluefield. And strangely, because of COVID, we played those guys multiple times over the most recent months as our coaching staff. So we both know each other really well, know each other's tendencies and habits, and it should be a fun game. They're a great coaching staff and a great institution, and really look forward to trying to stop their pass-first offense, as the gentleman said earlier. And their defensive scheme is very similar to ours. Their defense coordinator and our defense coordinator worked together for 14 years, so there's some similarities there. And in terms of how we scouted up and broke things down this week, it was probably a little bit beneficial. We've got a great kicker, and great coverage teams and expect them to be pretty tough on special teams as well. Should be a tough battle for both, and should be a great game for folks to watch.
So last season, there was no lack of production on the offensive side. I mean, this team was able to beat a top 25 opponent, over 400 yards of total offense, but it seemed like one of the holdups was converting in those do-or-die situations, getting those first downs in the opponent's territory, your 40, 30-yard line on the other side of the ball. What can we look for to get those conversions, get those important downs, and keep marching the ball down the field?
Well, I think, you've got to be really good on first down. Your first down efficiency really leads to your third and fourth down efficiency. So if you'll look at what we do, our aim is to be efficient on first down and on both sides of the ball to get that defense into, third and long and to keep our offense in third and short. So I think that's really what we've looked at, is how can we get in manageable situations and limit our risks on both sides of the ball.
Coach, thanks for sitting down with us. We look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Any final message to the fans?
We're just excited to finally get out there and get to know our fan base, and our guys are excited to see their friends and family and the community, the UPIKE and the Central Appalachian community right here in our home stand. So we're excited and look forward to seeing you. Go Bears.
Thanks, Coach.